welcome back to the channel. It's Fantasy Flyer, episode 42, the Super Bowl review. We finally got the man in the house. Never gonna forget this, never gonna drop it off. Yes, it is celebration time for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm Derek. This is Taylor. Doing the usual job. Uh, how you doing, Taylor?
Not too bad, not too bad. I've learned my lesson to never bet against Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, actually, it looked like a really good idea to bet against him for about two, 2.5 quarters,
Yeah,
roughly. Roughly. They were very spread out. The first two quarters for sure, and then like a little bit in the fourth, and everything else was all Patrick Mahomes. Um, yeah. What a Super Bowl. I want to point out. What was your favorite commercial, real quick? Because I wanted to talk. I personally love the Dodge Ram commercial about the EV, and if somebody had PE, and they were basically making it sound like someone with like erectile dysfunction commercial.
oh, I vaguely
you
remember
have to
that
you
one.
have to no, you have to look it up and watch it again because you
Okay.
will literally it is the greatest thing in the world.
Uh,
Um
One that
no,
stands out to me was the Blue Moon commercial where
yes.
you didn't know it was
Oh,
Blue Moon until the end because it was
this is
just
like this is a
Miller and
Coors Light
Coors. Yeah.
commercial. This is a Miller commercial. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a Blue Moon commercial, and then it just cuts away. We're like, wait, what?
That was very bold by them to like not even show them until the end of the commercial.
And I don't know. That's not the first time we've seen cross branding. Like usually you see them hidden, and it's like instead of Coors Light, it'll be like Coors Bright or something
Mm,
like really poor. And I don't know why. Like they must be both. Like are all of them from Anheuser Busch or something? Like they were all just like, yeah, screw it, we'll just
right.
advertise. Like, and I don't think that's the case either. I think Miller and Coors are on the same, and Blue Moon might be. I don't know. But that was a good commercial too. And honorable mention to the 2B commercial that made people really get
Yeah.
scared that their TV, like they hit somebody was sitting on the remote.
Right.
Shout out to that one. Um, 6.5 to 7 million for some of these. I don't know if you caught the Disney commercial that was a minute and a half long, but all I was sitting there thinking was like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. It was just counting the 100,000s as it went up.
Honestly,
Um,
yeah, because of that stat that you read off, I was constantly thinking about how much money these people spent.
Unbelievable. That was easily a $25 million commercial that
Yeah.
Disney put up. Not like they don't have the money for it, but um, yeah. So back to the show. Obviously, we're going to review the Super Bowl here. Most of the play, all of the fun things that happened. I'm going to make some light jokes at both teams' expense because that's kind of how it goes. Ironic, we just passed uh, Valentine's Day yesterday. It is Wednesday here. This won't go up until probably Friday, but we're recording on Wednesday. And yesterday was the holiday of holding, and so was Sunday. So good for good for the Chiefs. Yeah, points to James Bradbury, who got up in the post game interview and was like, "That was a penalty. That was a penalty. That was a penalty." Because everybody online it was immediately like, "That's crap," and I was like, "I don't know if it is." And then James Barry's like that. James Bradbury's like, "No, it's not crap."
Yeah.
So, real quick, we'll go over the stats first, and then we'll break down some of the analysis because I think if there's an argument in my head that Jalen Hurts, and I know it doesn't happen because they didn't win. And the winning team is supposed to be the one that gets the MVP. He was really like the MVP. Like he really
He,
was.
yeah.
300 passing yards, three rushing touchdowns, 77 rush yards. There's no reason. If it wasn't for a holding call, I think this, I mean, it probably still would have been a field goal, but it would have at least had a shot at coming back down the field.
Mhm.
Um, he was really good. Four total touchdowns, 70 yards rushing, three touchdowns, 27 for 38. He was the man. Kenneth Gainwell had 21 rush yards. I was all over that bet for his rush yards. I was all over his receiving bet, which was 9.5 yards. I put up some under Taylor's nose. I went on the Facebook page and I put up a bunch of bets that I really liked on Saturday night. I
Nice.
shared it. So um, a good chunk of them were right on. Couple that weren't.
I did a parlay of 12. I don't remember exactly what all of them were, and seven of them hit. So I should have I just get so like
You should have checked the Facebook
Yeah,
group. You were right.
exactly. But
I
no,
should
I
have said something good.
I should have broke it up. But I just the odds keep going up and up and up. I'm like, all right, I barely have to put money in.
That's what they get you. That's where they get you. Um, yeah, that was a couple some that was the rush yards in which Kenny Gainwell had 30 to 40% snap percentage like all postseason. 9 receiving yards and 18 rush yards. Two easy ones for me. I was all over those. Mahomes over 1.5 touchdowns throwing. Walk in
Yeah.
the park. Um, Pacheco, I was 50-50 on, to be honest, with his 60. I think it actually wasn't even 60, it was like 47 rush yards, and I should have been much more patient with that because this team scores. Kelsey, his passing yards was 79. And
Yeah.
after the first three, he was 3 for 60 with a touchdown after the first drive, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's gonna blow past 79. Barely gets there. 6 for 81, did have the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean
Juju seven
they
catch,
didn't really use him again until like that final drive.
which was smart, and we'll talk about that. Juju 7 catches for 53 yards. Justin Watson 2 catches for 18. Jarek McKinnon got 3 catches under the 3.5. Told you. 15 yards. Honestly, he should have had 5. There were 2 others that he didn't have, and I don't remember. One of them was like a bad shovel pass, which is rare to see from
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore with a 1 catch for 5 yards and 4 yards respectively, each for a touchdown. Sky Moore had 0 touchdowns all year long, and his first touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Amen. Good to you.
And they both of those plays weren't they like wide open?
Yeah, yeah.
I
It was
think
actually the exact same play on the opposite sides of the field.
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. They saw it work on the tape, they just flipped it and said, "We'll go for it
Yep,
again. Run it
yep.
back."
Kadarius Toney like cut to basically the tight end spot and then reversed. And I don't know if it was CJ Gardner Johnson or James Bradbury, and they were just convinced that he was basically going to run across, and he just turned back, and Tony was wide open, and then Sky Moore did the same thing in the fourth quarter. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Um, for the Eagles, 2 bets I did not have correct. Devontae Smith had 7 catches for 100 yards. AJ Brown 6 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. I had both under 5.5 at different parlays and under their yardage, which was like 65 and 72. You know, man, you win some, you lose some. Dallas Goddard 6 catches for 60. Kenneth Gainwell 4 for 20. Um, oh, Patrick Mahomes, can't forget to mention that 21 for 27, 3 touchdowns, 182 yards. Also ran for 44 yards.
Hmm.
I was very on the
On
fence
his
since
bad
like,
ankle.
right. I was very hesitant to take his rush prop, which was 19 and a half yards. And so I avoided it entirely because I thought that's very reachable. And also he has a bad ankle. So I don't know.
I
And he
took
went
one of
over.
his alt throwing props, which I think I did 225, maybe 250, and I thought
You'd
that
think,
was yeah,
you'd
I
think
thought
that'd be
that was
good.
pretty easy, but no.
Wrong again. Um, so yeah, some of the stats. Jalen Hurts, crucial fumble, the only turnover of the day for the Eagles. Um, Nothing else really pops out from the offensive side of the ball. There was 1 sack in this game at all, and it basically was. I mean, it almost really wasn't a sack, but it counts as a sack because it was behind the line of scrimmage.
They
So
yeah, but they have two here, right? 2 sacks for 2 yards. Am I reading that right? On the Eagles side against the Eagles.
I was about to say it's definitely not. Mahomes had 0 sacks. Or
Right.
was sacked 0 times. Hold on here. Let me see.
But I don't, like you're saying, I don't remember. I feel like
I
one was a weird thing that qualified as a sack, but wasn't a sack, like you're saying.
Nope, you're right. It's 2 sacks. Keelan Saunders and Leo Chanel. 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 I can't. I'm sorry. He's on my fantasy team. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, wasn't one basically like Hurts just running around and he like barely makes it to the line of scrimmage? Obviously he doesn't. I think they lost a yard and basically somebody just pushed him out of
yep.
bounds and they counted it as a sack. Yeah.
Well, that's how that. And then the other one, I don't even remember the other one, to be honest with you. But I mean, defense was not. The score was 38-35. Defense was not a thing in this game.
There
It's
was
there.
moments of it, but yeah, not really.
Yeah, no. I was confident in this game going over 54, 56, 58 points. Like that was where I was for this game.
Mhm.
Oh boy, let me tell you something. That was gone in the third quarter.
Right.
Um, most of the stats right there. So, now we'll move on to the analysis because we got to start breaking this down because this was, I mean, this is a game going into it. We talked about the Chiefs. We're like really kind of the underdogs, younger team pieces that although they'd fit in and found their spot in the system, they weren't as experienced. And this looked like a very stacked Eagles team. Okay, like very, like this was just all about the Eagles, really. Like
The American eagle has had swings of fortune every bit as dramatic as those of the United States.
there you go, there you go.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna nature documentary the hell out of this right now. I just want to know that. First half, the Eagles, I mean, they stuck to their game plan they did all year, right? They owned the clock, ran the ball effectively, Hurts especially.
Right.
And the new little tweak that we hadn't seen all offseason was the big pass plays. I believe their first drive ended with or maybe it was their second drive, 45-yard touchdown pass to AJ Brown.
Hmm.
Big one, big one. Um, Smith was big. He had a lot more of the he was more of the show out to start off.
Yeah.
AJ Brown was a little quieter. I think actually AJ Brown's like first real catch was like at the end of the first quarter. So that might have been the second, but still. Um AJ Brown was more clutch. Devontae Smith was a little more consistent. Philly offense generally just amazing to start. Kansas City was slower. Now we got to remember Kansas City had the first drive where they were successful, and that was mostly Travis Kelsey, right? All Travis Kelsey for the most part. Um, Kansas City was losing the time of possession by over like 13 minutes going into halftime because their only other score came from the fumble, the Jalen
Right.
Hurts fumble that went into a touchdown. Um, even even with that, it looked like Kansas City wasn't doing too bad defensively. They were at least causing some problems. They just weren't getting to bothering Jalen Hurts, I guess. That'd be the best way to put it. Um, Pacheco was solid for, as far as rushing the ball. Mahomes was not really pressured much in this first drive. The second drive, however, Philly had turned up the pressure, made Mahomes' job extremely hard. You could see it. I think there was 2 3 and outs in the second quarter. Might not have been 3 and outs, but short drives
Hmm.
for Kansas City. Their offense was not mobile. It was not very effective. Um, got stopped within, I think the second of those stopped within the 2 minute warning in the second quarter, and Mahomes actually got hurt at that point as well. And it looked like it was another high ankle sprain.
Right.
I remember looking at everybody at this party and going, at my party that I was at, and I was like, that doesn't matter. I was like, it's not like he's got to play next week. Like, no
Right.
matter what happens here, he's coming back out. And they're like, I don't know if he's gonna come back out. And I'm like, all right, stop. Um, because he definitely was. Uh Second half. All right.
What? Real quick before you go into the second half,
Sure.
going to your point about the fumble and then the Eagles owning time of possession. I think that that was part of the reason that the Chiefs weren't able to get things going is there was so much time where they were off the field that they didn't have the momentum. They were cold, so that obviously that worked out to Philadelphia's favor in the first half because they were up by like what 10 points.
Yeah, it was
Um,
24-14 at half.
yeah, so yeah, that was like a bittersweet thing. The Chiefs get a touchdown from the defensive side of the ball, but then they're never on the offense is never on the field for most of that time. So yeah, anyways, it was just kind of something I noticed that I think contributed to the score in the first half.
Yeah. The other thing, and we talked like we mentioned during the stats, Travis Kelsey was mostly the offensive focus to start this game. And he really kind of continued to be for a lot of the second and third drives, which were very spread apart, like you pointed out, and you're correct to do so. There was it was basically Pacheco to run it, and then Patrick Mahomes was looking for Travis Kelsey and almost nobody else. Um, there couldn't have been. I mean, other than Juju, who might have had a catch or two, nobody else really had a catch. Like Noah Gray might have. I don't know if anybody else had a catch in the first half besides Kelsey, Juju, and maybe one or two small, passes. It was rushing, and then those guys. And the offense was starting to, if it wasn't for the defense, this game would have been probably 28-7,
Mm.
21 or 28-7 going. And that's a huge blow to the momentum. So that fumble recovery by Nick Bolton to return it was huge because Kansas City stayed alive.
Yeah.
Halftime comes. Rihanna does her nice little show. I thought there'd be more special guests. Shouts out to
Damn, was
Rihanna.
she high up though?
Whatever floats your boat, whatever gets the show, gets the pop, gets the awe.
It was impressive.
Yeah, it was definitely a memorable show, I would say. I'm impressed that they gave her like 14 minutes. She played her songs. It was really nice. I heard Andy Reid threaten to bench whoever left the locker room to watch the halftime show. Smart. I don't know. You're gonna watch it all over. You can watch it on literally YouTube like a half hour after the game. Why did
Right.
focus on your job? Anyway, second half starts, and at the beginning of the game, the Chiefs won the coin toss and they deferred.
Mhm.
And another question that immediately arose: why would they defer when the Eagles have been
Yeah, that first drive.
first half scores all year?
Yeah.
Like they were literally the league leader all year in points in the first half. I think it was like north of 18 points on average for a game, which is a lot. And I want to say that was huge coming down the road. I wasn't sold on the fact it was a bad idea
Yeah.
because I know if you know they're going to come out hot and you're going to be behind, take the extra possession on the second half. Take it on the backside where they start to lull themselves a little bit.
Well, and you also get to see tape and study make adjustments
Right,
from the
right.
first half.
And obviously, we mentioned it in the preview show. You have to make adjustments in between drives.
Right.
Right. What drives?
Yeah.
Because there was one, then there was the turnover, then the Eagles get it back. They ate away 9 or 10 minutes of the clock. And then you don't really, you can't adapt to a defense because everybody's kind of, I don't know, it's coming. And it started to look a little odd that the Chiefs were stumbling in the second quarter. Second half, we come out, Mahomes adjusts. First drive, team goes right down the field. It's more Pacheco. It's more McKinnon. They start spreading the ball. Juju has a couple catches, right? There's a couple targets to MVS. Granted, MVS doesn't have great success with them.
Yeah.
Mahomes has a rush in there. All right. Pacheco crosses 50 rush yards here, right? And he gets the touchdown to open the second half. Great rushing touchdown. Used McKinnon as a lead block. Was able to walk it in basically from 3 yards. Now it's 24-21 Philly, right? And we're like, all right, we're back in this. We got a game. Philly gets their first possession, and it seemed like they weren't doing much. They got a couple good plays in, a couple good breaks, right? We got the catch that maybe wasn't a catch, but I guess it really was from Dallas
The
Goedert.
Goddard one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That one.
it was a great throw.
Yeah.
A1. It was 50-50 on it too. Was his foot there? Ref said it was. I'm not going to argue with it because it
Right.
turned out
It wasn't enough to turn over. I get that.
Yeah. So that kept the drive going. It was a third down, 3rd and 15, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't the first half Eagles though. It wasn't what you saw where they came out and they knew what they were doing. And that was to start. Be fair. So they had to settle for 3 as the drive gets clogged up. And then Mahomes comes back and leads the team down the field again. Right? Now, mind you, by the time this has happened, between the time eaten off the clock with the first drive from Kansas City in the third quarter and this Eagles drive, we're getting into the fourth.
Right.
It's only the third drive of the second half. They're eating time. Juju gets involved this time. Tony gets involved. Pacheco gets involved again. And I'm starting to notice the odd man out is Travis Kelce. And I'm like, man, this is so smart. You're finding zero success with Kelce. You just spent an entire half basically looking for Kelce. They think that you have only your eyes on Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
And things start to fall apart. The secondary doesn't look so beatable. There's still no pressure to Patrick Mahomes. This offensive line did as good a job as any team this year, keeping the Eagles absolutely flustered from getting to Patrick Mahomes. And it doesn't hurt that he was still scrambling.
Right.
So with all these names involved, okay, it's shaken up the Eagle defense. Philadelphia had no answer for these playbook changes in the first 12, 15, 17 minutes of the second half. That was the Kadarius Toney wide open touchdown, which again, defensive mess because you think you know where he's going, and Kadarius Toney has any and all of the space. um, there was even one play. Okay, so in that drive, that second drive, there was it false start? I'm not sure if there's a false.
Uh,
There was a Kadarius Toney goes out, he runs an end around, and there's a whistle blown as it snapped, and they throw it to Toney, and so the play's dead.
right.
And man, if that's not smart by Eric Bieniemy, he calls the same play and says, watch this. Hey, Patrick, they're going to be ready for the same thing. And it happened just like that. End around to Toney to the left. He's on the left side, even with the quarterback, and both corners come up. And who's got the first down wide open but Juju? Just chilling there. Hey, we used the same play in a different way and still got a first down. Great play calling, great execution. Mahomes didn't even really sell that he was going to Toney.
Right.
The play did it himself. And I watch it, I'm like, damn, that's smart. I'm like, that's so great. Anyway, so they have no answers for this. Toney has his only catch, the touchdown, and now the momentum is back because it's 28-27 now.
Right.
Philly will take over with about 12 minutes to go in the game. Now, where were you? You were watching this, I imagine. That's where
Yes.
112 million other people. What were your thoughts when it's 28-27? Because I'm sitting here thinking, we got a barn burner.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was gonna get to the position where, the Eagles were kind of out where they were and starting to look like they were gonna walk away with it. It was nice to see Mahomes do his thing and start to just, work in all these other guys. And yeah, I think that was like to your point, great play calling and Mahomes being Mahomes. Yeah, at this point, I guess I was kind of thinking like, what are the Eagles doing? They're not really adjusting and adapting the way that we've seen them been able to do.
Right. And they should be because they were still to this moment are probably my best team from the year.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
don't think I don't
I
think the Chiefs, I don't think if you play this game 10 times over, the Chiefs win more than 5.
yeah, like on paper, it's just Eagles, Eagles, Eagles.
Mm-hmm. But
And
Patrick
it's
Mahomes is a
it's
G.
exactly it's the X factor of Mahomes and the insane talent that Kelsey is, the monster that man is.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we got 12 minutes left, right? Jalen Hurts already has 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. He's thrown for 1. And I'm thinking, here come these Eagles, right?
As winter ebbs, the well-practiced team seems to be headed for success. But spring is a fickle season.
It is a fickle season. Kansas City brought pressure for once. For once. The Eagles go 3 and out on this very crucial drive. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, all right, you don't want this ball back in Mahomes' hands, right? This is not good. You got to punt it now. And it almost didn't even get into his hands because on this punt return, 2 words, Kadarius Toney. This punt return was an absolute gem. Man, they got a steal from the Giants.
Yeah.
One of the other people at my party is a diehard Giants fan, and he goes, how come the Giants couldn't get anything out of this guy?
He's never on the field.
But when he is, man, he's good.
Yeah.
And there were times during the beginning of this season before they traded him where he was just rotting away on their bench. He wasn't injured all the time.
All right.
They sat him, and that's known for 6 or 7 of their first 6 or 7 games. He wasn't injured for 2 of them. They just didn't play him.
I mean, we saw flashes of this last year, so yeah, I don't know.
And you're going to see it next year because I don't think there's a reason that he's not one of your top 3 starting wide receivers in Kansas City next year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's just if he can stay healthy. And when he's not, guess what? I think you have a really good chance of putting Sky Moore into his spot. You have done a fantastic job of trading for Toney and building more in 1 year. And it's amazing what this team will be able to sustain.
They won the Super Bowl in like a mild rebuild.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
This punt return, 65 yards, a Super Bowl record
Yeah.
to the 5 yard line. And it was patience persevered because he did not run for gaps. He found blocks, cut
He
back,
went all the way across the field just to find
right?
the opening.
And then he didn't rush up the sideline. He let his team block for him in front, and that got him 10 or 12 yards further than he probably should have been.
Yeah.
He's good. This man has talent. Like, he just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That was the Sky Moore touchdown. That also, admittedly, after that happened, 5 yard line, your first and goal from the 5. The Eagles stop him for 2 plays,
Right.
like stone cold stop him.
Yeah, I thought it was
And
going to turn into a field goal.
Yeah, and then Sky Moore comes in with a touchdown. It's 35-27 in the fourth quarter, 9 minutes left, and the game is all of a sudden okay. Now the Eagles really have to do something. Eagles make a drive. They score. It's yet another Hurts rushing touchdown combination of a little more Goddard, a little more Smith, a little more Brown, a little bit more rush, right? The entire time I'm watching Miles Sanders not do anything on the ground, and I'm like, they're not going to resign him.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't because he's too expensive for what they would produce. After being down by 10, oh, excuse me, I skipped a line here. His third rushing touchdown for Jalen Hurts. 5 minutes left, comes down to Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they start slowly, methodically driving it. After being down by 10, you get the holding penalty, which again was a holding penalty. Sorry, Philly fans. Ends with a Butker field goal with 8 seconds left. And it's 38-35. Amazing clock management. You can't forget the holding penalty, but Bradbury himself, like I said, he said it after the game. That's a holding penalty.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? It killed all of their timeouts. They used their final timeout to play after. It was a kneel down after that, a Chiefs timeout. And all of a sudden, there's 8 seconds left. Butker kicks it in. You got no choice, no chance either.
It's just real quick, like
Mhm.
absolutely a holding, absolutely. It's just such an unfortunate way to end such an awesome game. Like you
Yeah.
said, a barn burner, a heck of a game, back and forth.
Yep.
You like to see the fact that the Eagles look like they were kind of gaining momentum and they might start to go away with it. And then Mahomes does this thing, the good play calling, and they bring it back. And then the Eagles do this final drive and go for 2 and tie it up. And then we're here. There's what? It's basically 2 minutes left, and then this holding call happens, and it's like, well, there goes the clock. There's no extra
Yep. You got
drive for
nothing.
them to. They can't even try to tie it up. Which, like, you want to see this game go to a point where maybe everybody's on the edge of their seat. Maybe it's gonna happen, and it's just like, well, that's it. That's the game, and I
Yeah.
just gotta watch them kill the clock.
I'm like, watch this be the miracle where it's, there's an interception or a fumble and they
Right.
return it 60 yards, and here we
Yeah.
go. It did not happen that way.
Yeah.
Now he has lost almost everything. He may find another mate and start all over again. But until then, he must defend his territory.
And that's where we're left with our friend the Eagle.
But nobody wants to defend this field because this field was terrible.
No, the
Everybody's
field
slipping
itself.
all over the place.
We're not going to talk about that. NFL knows they got to get some stuff. As for the Chiefs, won't work.
Winning.
There we go.
Winning.
Some are saying that you're bipolar.
I'm by winning. Winner.
2. By winning 2 championships in 4 years. Or
3
years? 3 years for Patrick
No.
Mahomes.
I thought it was
20, 21, 22, 23. That's 4 years.
Oh, but the Chiefs themselves.
Yeah.
I thought, hold on. Maybe I misheard somebody. Because whenever I heard this, I thought
The
somebody
49ers
said,
lost to the Chiefs. And I was pretty sure that was 2020. Right before COVID.
anywho. Yeah, I'm going to assume I misheard somebody because that makes more sense to me.
Okay. I'm glad we had that talk. Big takeaways from this game. Once again, the Eagles are beatable. They are good, but they are beatable. It didn't seem like KC had the tools going into this game. And really, in the second quarter, they didn't either. Wasn't for the only touchdown, the only points they scored was off the touchdown in the second half, or second quarter, excuse me. But they used different pieces. They didn't turn the ball over, and the defense started to actually get to Hurts in the second half. I won't say that the Eagles' schedule was easy, but there were times where we thought they had a slightly lighter workload than the opposing teams could provide. And I think that's a fair statement. Did the Eagles still earn it? Yeah. It's any given Sunday. I've said it forever. It's a two-way street. So if you can say any given Sunday, the Texans or the Bears or the Colts can beat a team like the Eagles or the Chiefs, which two of those three teams I just mentioned did or almost did beat each of those teams.
Mhm.
Colts beat the Chiefs. Bears led against the Eagles until the fourth quarter. If you that's two-way street. So I don't buy that. Eagles earned their way into the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I mean, you could tell just by the way they played.
yeah, great team, great heart. Also, Patrick Mahomes after the game said that Jalen Hurts, if there's, he said if in a quote, if there's any doubters left, then they should, or if there's any doubt left, then that should be gone or something like that. Or I guess I can't quote it because I can't say it. That's just
What a muppet.
there we go. Number two, the Chiefs defense is probably underrated, and they're only probably going to get better. Linebacker position seemed to be key here. Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, Nick Bolton, all huge pieces in this game. Similar to the way the Eagles play with T.J. Edwards, Kaiser White, and Hassan Reddick, who equally had some, big pressure plays, big stops. Smith and Brown for the Eagles both had great games, and still Hurts didn't look quite as invincible in this offensive performance as he did in the regular season. This is a 20-point win in the regular season. 300 passing yards, 70 on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. We saw that be unbeatable at times during the season. And much to what Patrick Mahomes said, the third takeaway, Hurts is a top 3 quarterback. You can't put up much more of a better line than this. You can't do much better with the tools you have. He's likely a top rushing quarterback at this point. Justin Fields is like right there. Other than that, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's a distant third, in my opinion. And don't even talk about Josh Allen. So sorry.
If Lamar can stay healthy, but I think at this point you need to start fading his rushing game a little bit.
And he, for both game plan and for health reasons.
Right.
I said it to a couple of folks who were very distraught about their Eagles losing after a very strong season. I said, listen, your big thing here is you need to retool the defense. Your offensive core is a 9.9 out of 10.
Right.
You don't need Miles Sanders.
No.
You have a great tight end, 2 great wide receivers, and a great quarterback who doubles as a running back. It's all defensive for you. You need to fix the 6 to 8 holes you're about to have on defense in some way. And the great start is in that draft. You have the 10th overall pick. Take a cornerback. Do it.
Yeah.
There's 3 top cornerbacks that it's not out of the realm of possibility where 10th is where they belong. We'll talk about that more when we get to the end of the week. So that leads us into where do we go from here? I just started with the Eagles, work on that defense. It's hard to really point out anything else the Eagles need to do. I know they're going to have I believe T.J. Edwards is also a free agent this year. Their linebacker spot, another potential draft. You can also attack the free agent market. I believe they only have roughly $5 million as of right now to spend. There will probably
4.8.
there'll probably be dead cap cuts at some point, as there will be throughout the next month or half a month. For the Chiefs, what can you criticize? I mean, the people who are in your wide receiver core that don't start are still great. They still have amazing contribution. I don't know. I mean, defensively, you're going to need secondary help. Trent McDuffie let the touchdown to A.J. Brown literally go over his head. So I think the secondary, and he's a rookie, so let's call a spade a spade. But get some secondary help. Maybe an edge rusher just to apply a little more. Willie Gay isn't exactly invincible either. Nick Bolton will be great. Defensive line could use me. The offensive line probably could use a little bit of a boost. But all in all, both of these teams have really good chances to return to at least their respective division championship games next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Jason Kelsey that basically said, like, let's just get the team back together and run it back. And I mean, easier said than done. You get people's egos, whatever, and contracts being, wanting to make more money. So that easier said than done, but they do have, to your point, a lot of defensive people that are going to become free agents. So they got to figure that out, and whether they go after a couple in the draft. It's like you said, Miles Sanders is not a necessity. Don't go after him if he's asking for a lot of money. If he wants to be reasonable and he wants to stay with a good team, sure. But Kenneth Gainwell showed that he was very serviceable. He's not going to be, an every down guy or like a 3-down guy. So they might need to find somebody there. I don't like this, but some people have mocked Bijan going to them at like their second first round pick or whatever.
They should be looking for more third or fourth round, and for nothing else other than you don't need the big name, the big muscle. You don't need
Exactly.
the contract in 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, there are so many good running backs in this class that you could get on the second day and they will fill in perfectly fine because you have such a dynamic quarterback that it's just going to open up that running game. So yeah, I agree. And then
go
as
ahead.
far as the Chiefs, I mean, they have young talent with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. Juju, obviously, he was on a 1-year deal. I don't think they'll bring him back unless he wants to keep it around the same, price tag. But they're looking fine with their picks and their young talent that they have. They just, fill in a couple of holes here and there and just bolster up a little bit, develop.
That's all you can say. You can't really criticize the two teams here. That's going to do it for our Super Bowl review show. I'll take about 90 seconds to go over our future schedule real quick. Starting, it's going to probably come out Monday or Tuesday of next week, which would be, I don't know, the 22nd, 21st, 22nd. We are going to have a special guest on the show. We're going to be doing some mock drafts. It's officially off-season time as far as Fantasy Flyer is concerned. You can take a break from it, but this is where the stuff starts happening now through April. This is where teams start shaking stuff up. So we're gonna have probably a 2-part show with him. I can say him. It doesn't give anything away. So we will have the special guest on. That episode will probably drop next Monday and or Tuesday, and then another one probably next Friday. We are going to be playing a special episode, a special game on the second episode of Pay and Play or Drop and Shop, which is our first of the free agent shows. We're going to have a mock draft show. It's going to be loads of fun. So that'll be the next 2 episodes. After that, we will go into a quick free agent / trade talk episode. That'll probably be towards the end of the month. And then going into March, we start our Magic 8-Ball series. Stay tuned for that. More details coming in the coming episodes. Or maybe we won't give you any and you'll just see it pop up on your YouTube feeds. Who knows? Depends on how I want to play it. I'm different like that. Any last words, Taylor? Great Super Bowl, great season. Now we get to do kind of retool again, Bob the Builder style. I don't have the button anymore, so we're gonna have to. But anything else from you?
No, great game. Looking forward to a lot of fun stuff in the off season. I mean, this is what we kind of live for as dynasty fantasy players.
That's right. This is where it starts. This is where the rubber meets the road. I'm Derek. This is Taylor. We will see you guys next week. Listen to some Bob Barker. Have a good weekend. Join us again next time from the Fantasy Flyer, episode 44.
Bob Barker reminding you, help control the pet
Peace out.
population.
Peace out,
And your
y'all.
pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.